Sean Combs accused of sex trafficking and racketeering. A jury of 8 men and 4 women were seated this morning and will now decide his fate.
ABC's Olivia Rubin joins us live from federal court in Lower Manhattan as the first witness, an LAPD officer, takes the stand. Olivia.
Guys, the first witness on the stand, and both sides have given their opening statements, which really gave us the first view into Combs' defense here. And really, they say it was all consensual. This morning, the trial beginning in a case that sent shockwaves throughout the music industry. Sean Combs, known as Diddy or Puff Daddy, accused of running a criminal enterprise.
If you use my approach, you can dock both.
Prosecutors say for decades, the hip-hop mogul used his power to sexually, physically, and emotionally abuse women. They claim he, quote, coerced them into drug-fueled orgies or so-called freak-offs, threatening them into silence. Combs has pled not guilty to all 5 counts against him, including racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking. An attorney for Combs seeming to preview his defense at a hearing last month, saying he was part of, quote, a lifestyle, call it swingers, that he thought was appropriate. Federal prosecutors say they have as many as 20 potential witnesses ready to testify, 3 of them expected to take the stand as soon as this week. One of the first 2, an escort. The third witness, one of the most high-profile, singer Cassie Ventura, Combs' ex-girlfriend. Evidence expected to be introduced in the case includes this surveillance video obtained by CNN showing Combs striking, kicking, and dragging Ventura at a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. Combs has since apologized.
For the prosecution, they're saying that this video is an example of multiple instances of assault and sexual battery against Cassie by Sean Combs as a part of this criminal enterprise. But for Sean Combs' defense, they're saying that he and Cassie were in a very tumultuous and domestic violence-based relationship, that they both hit each other.
During jury selection, some prospective jurors said the video was simply too much for them. But this morning, both sides whittling down hundreds to a jury of 12 plus 6 alternates who will decide the case. That jury made up of 8 men and 4 women. Prosecutors have said they have as many as 20 witnesses who could take the stand in this trial. Cassie, that ex-girlfriend of Sean Combs, expected as soon as this week. Olivia Rubin, ABC 7.
All right. We're going to stop that right there. It's your boy, Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. Peace and blessings, everybody. Hope everybody having a good Wednesday. I thought I'd come and give my assessment so far about the Diddy trial. You know what I'm saying? And from what I'm seeing, I haven't really been following too much. But to me, their star witness is Cassie. And as you know, Diddy and Cassie have been in a strenuous relationship for over 10 years. And since then, she's left Diddy and went to, be with his bodyguard, I believe, that she's up there visibly pregnant, seems that she's going to give birth at any moment. And she's giving her account of the things that they went through as far as their freak offs and things of that nature. Now, it's not a crime to engage in whatever sexual behavior you would like to with another consenting adult. Baby oil and all the other stuff and all the details to me that they're asking are not important. The only issue is that did you consent to these freak offs? Not about how salacious it was or who was involved. Were you forced to be in the freak offs? And not just me personally, Cassie shouldn't even be involved because she took money. Once you take money, why would you be a part of a criminal case? And, that right there being in itself, to me, is a way to taint the jury pool in this man's case. Now, I'm not here to advocate for his innocence or his guilt, but it's looking kind of familiar RICO, racketeering, sex trafficking, just because he's a celebrity living, obviously, a rock star lifestyle. So basically, what you have is his sex life on trial. That's basically all it is. You know, because it's just the salaciousness of it is what you would, you know, trying to hang your hat on to sway the jury pool to look at him away. And to have that video of Cassie being beat up by Diddy in that hotel lobby, we don't know what happened prior to that. Although it's damning, it's not a criminal enterprise. And if he was running a criminal enterprise, where's everybody else? How do we have this one man as a criminal enterprise doing all these different duties, but nobody else is charged in the courtroom? I'm not understanding that. But, you know, in any event, let's take a deeper look at this and get some more perspective of it.
It's day one of the celebrity trial gripping much of the nation. Sean Diddy Combs, once one of entertainment's most powerful moguls, accused of crime so heinous, he faces the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. He's denied all charges. And just a warning, this story contains accounts, descriptions, and visual content of actual or alleged events that some may find disturbing.
Mom, how are you feeling? How are you feeling today, Mom? How is your son?
Can't talk about the case at all.
All eyes are on this New York City courthouse as the federal trial for disgraced mogul Sean Diddy Combs begins.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs goes on trial today.
Combs is inside the courtroom along with those prospective jurors.
He faces multiple charges, including racketeering and sex trafficking.
The musician, famous for hits like Bad Boy for Life
What I've been through, y'all got drama, the saga continues.
and Can't Nobody Hold Me Down.
We're trying not to lose our head.
As long as probably forever, there's only been one Frosty. Because what would we even do? Add a bunch of new swirls and mix-ins like Oreo cookies or Pop-Tarts pieces? That's kind of genius, actually. For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's.
Charged with sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, and racketeering conspiracy, the 55-year-old has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Today was a monumental day when we're talking about Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy. At one point, he also had the actual key to New York City. So to see him today facing trial on federal criminal charges is completely a downfall of who Puff Daddy, who Sean Combs was.
Prosecutors allege he used his power to force women into prolonged drug-fueled orgies he called freak-offs, and then threatened them into silence.
The freak-offs, according to prosecutors, were these sex marathons. Some of them lasted days, and they were fueled by ecstasy or other party drugs. And women were not allowed to leave.
Highly anticipated at the trial, the testimony of Cassandra Ventura, the singer better known as Cassie, who is at the center of this now infamous video.
Now, my question right now is, how did you not be able to leave? I don't get that part. Out of a 10-year relationship, and I'm speaking specifically about Cassie, you didn't have any chance of leaving this particular relationship. I'm having a hard time believing that. You didn't want to participate in these quote-unquote freak-offs for 10 years? Now, the only thing that made, to me, sound criminal is the drug usage. And this being a domestic violence, this video that they about to show. But outside of that, I mean, all the hoopla that they had going on, like, at what point are you a willing participant opposed to being a victim? 10 years? And I think her getting on the stand and they asking her this specific line of questioning is to taint the jury pool with the salaciousness of the allegations. That's just my opinion. Once again, I'm not saying the man innocent, and I'm not saying guilty. Just looking at it from a fair, unbiased, viewpoint.
The disturbing scene appears to show Combs chasing her down a hotel hallway in 2016, knocking her down and kicking her. The first evidence shown to jurors today, videos and photos from that violent encounter.
Everyone was leaning in and focusing and watching this video. Literally, you can hear a pin drop in that courtroom.
A security guard who came onto the scene in the aftermath of that attack testified that Diddy had a devilish stare and Cassie had a purple eye. Another witness alleging he was paid to have sex with Cassie while Diddy watched and told to urinate on Cassie.
You heard so much about sex during the prosecution's opening, the defense opening. You heard about oral sex. You heard about missionary style. You heard about baby oil being put on people's body. You heard so much. This is not a case for the prude.
Cassie and Diddy were in a romantic relationship for almost a decade, releasing hits like Me and You.
They know you're the one I wanna give it to. I can see you on me too. Now it's me and me.
Her graphic and disturbing 2023 civil lawsuit against Diddy changed everything, helping spur the federal criminal investigation into the mogul. Diddy has denied these allegations and settled that suit without admission of wrongdoing.
Mom, how are you feeling?
Diddy's mother and children arriving to court this morning to support him, along with Combs' spokesperson.
Obviously, it's like a horrific time for the family, so they're just trying to hold steady in their faith and make sure that they take care of each other.
And how is Mr. Combs feeling?
Upbeat. I think, obviously this is a huge deal, and so he's just ready to have his side told in open court.
Inside the courtroom today, Diddy smiling and blowing kisses to his family.
He's very observant as to what's going on in the courtroom, and he's taken part in his defense.
Both sides delivered their opening statements, making their case. The all-female prosecution team saying that Combs used a trusted inner circle to commit crime after crime, including kidnapping, arson, and sex crimes. Prosecutor Emily Johnson.
Now, what is this team at that was committing all these crimes? He used a team to, do all this kidnapping and all this other stuff, but he the only one in the courtroom being charged? Like, at some point, you got to wonder, who are these people? How can one man be a criminal enterprise? How can one man do all of this by himself, but he had a team? I mean, it's a contradiction. But see, we was telling people before when they did this with R. Kelly, we're gonna start to see more one-man criminal enterprises. They changed up the charges a little bit, but this essentially is the same thing that R. Kelly, was convicted of, minus the minor part of it. They were saying he was dealing with minors, but outside of that, this is basically a sex life on trial. This is man's sex life on trial. It's crazy.
Johnson saying, this is Sean Combs. To the public, he was Puff Daddy or Diddy, a cultural icon, a businessman larger than life. But there was another side to him, a side that ran a criminal enterprise.
The prosecution is alleging that it was his inner circle that enabled him to be able to engage in these acts, but also hide these acts from the public and for it to go on for so long.
At least 3 alleged victims of Diddy are expected to testify, including Cassie, and a woman prosecutors are referring to as Jane. During opening arguments, prosecutors alleged that Diddy forced the women to participate in so-called freak-offs and instructed Cassie and Jane how to look, to dress in lingerie, wear tall platform high heels, and have manicured white nails. Diddy's defense arguing the sexual relationships were consensual and not coerced, saying the rapper lived a swingers lifestyle.
The defense wants to say that these women are all adults. They're all consenting and willing participants in these freak-offs.
Defense attorney Tinny Garrigo saying in her opening statement, that may not be what you like to do in your bedroom, but you're not here to judge him for his sexual preferences. She later added, being a willing participant in your own sex life is not sex trafficking. That disturbing video was also part of the defense's opening arguments, plainly saying it was an instance of domestic violence. Garrigo saying, domestic violence is not sex trafficking. Had he been charged with domestic violence, had he been charged with assault, we would not be here right now.
I agree. Like, as terrible and damning as that video footage is, once again, that is not sex trafficking. That is not racketeering. It's just domestic violence. And they could have been charged some with that on the state level, but this is federal for some reason. And it's just quite interesting that we don't have any access to the, the public doesn't have any access to film this. Like, we just getting secondhand information, so to speak. Why they not allowing the cameras in the courtroom? They say just because it's federal. I don't know. It's just weird that these cases like this never get publicized.
Right now.
The defense said that Sean Combs may be a lot of things. He may have committed domestic violence, but those aren't the crimes the defense said that he's charged with. So in effect, the argument is he's a criminal, just not the kind of criminal they say he is.
The first testimony of the trial taking jurors to Los Angeles, March 2016, in the hotel where that surveillance video was taken. The first witness, an LAPD officer who worked security at the hotel, he says he responded to a call for a woman in distress on the 6th floor.
When he got to the floor, he noticed that there was glass on the floor, that the vase and the flowers were broken.
The security guard described going back to Diddy's hotel room and standing in the doorway while Ventura grabbed her things. Inside, another man sitting at the corner of the bed.
So from the very start, the first witness brings the jury into that hallway where he said Sean Combs looked at him with a devilish stare and Cassie Ventura had a purple eye.
Sean Combs tried to offer him money, to give him money to make this go away. And he said he wouldn't accept the money.
The second witness to take the stand, Daniel Phillip, a man who said he was paid to have sex with Cassie on multiple occasions at several high-end New York City hotels while Diddy watched.
Now, hold fast. He said he was paid to have sex with Cassie while Diddy watched. I mean, the story, the allegations are crazy. Make no mistake, it's crazy. But the only thing that's criminal is you being a dang on prostitute. If this dude a prostitute, if you getting charged with that, then yeah. But you took the money. So how are you not being charged as well? I'm just trying to understand how this man is on trial by himself when y'all say y'all got all this evidence. But, prostitution go two ways. He paid him, he took the money, he performed the act. I'm just saying.
The witness said he was paid between $700 and $6,000 each time.
So Mr. Phillip agreed to go to the Gramercy Hotel to do a performance for a bachelorette party. At least that's what he thought. But when he got to the hotel, to the room, that Cassie opened up the door. He did not know that was Cassie, and that she told him, well, it's my birthday and my husband wants to do something special. So can you give me a massage with this body oil, and then we can just take it from there and see where it leads.
Diddy allegedly in the corner masturbating, wearing a bandana over his face. During these meetups, he says Diddy would often give directions and at times tell him to step off and back up because he was going to get some.
Sean Combs's children, his mother, came to court to support him, but when the testimony became graphic, his daughters stood up and walked out. When they came back in at one point, the testimony got more graphic about a...
Wow, I mean, that has to be hard for the family to sit there and endure the salaciousness and the details of the story. Your mom and your daughter's listening to that. That's so embarrassing.
Ejaculation, about urination, that was too much. They turned and walked out again.
Philip also described witnessing Diddy drag and hit Cassie. When asked by prosecutors why he didn't intervene, he testified, "My thoughts was that this was someone with unlimited power, and chances that even if I did go to the police, that I might still end up losing my life." Cassie, who's now 8 months pregnant, is expected to take the stand tomorrow.
Cassie's the case. Cassie Ventura, who has not spoken about this publicly except in a civil lawsuit, is taking the witness stand as a star witness.
Her husband and father of her children spotted at court today. If convicted, Combs could face life in prison.
Wow. So let's stop that right there. Yeah. Very, very damning information. But I have to say, much of that to me does not seem like it belongs in a federal court. Cassie has been on the stand giving testimony the last couple days. And from my vantage point, it's just really been her detailing, how much baby oil y'all had. What did y'all do when y'all ran out the baby oil? Did y'all still continue to have the freak offs and all of that? So to me, I don't see anybody being forced or coerced. I see two grown people that were in a 10-year-long relationship, and for her to be the star witness, and then you bring this guy here that was like, paid to have sex with Cassie, and Cassie is a beautiful woman. I mean, say what you say, so that wasn't a bad deal. You getting paid thousands of dollars to sleep with a gorgeous woman. I don't know, bro. I mean, I don't hear anything that is just, besides the salaciousness, the only thing that I can see would be deemed criminal is the drugs that were used, possibly. But I mean, then again, does that even deserve to be before a federal, judge? I don't know, man. I think this case is a lot less damning than people thought, and it's basically just a sex life on trial, just like how we saw with Kels, and they did Kels dirty, man. Like, to me, they didn't really prove anything as far as anybody being underage at the time of said events happened. Nobody was forced into anything. These are people that, have, women throwing themselves at them. They got money. So this just seems like another case with Kels. And if we continue to go down this path, it's going to be really scary. But yeah, I want to take a look back because, the RICO racketeering part of it is kind of mirrors what happened with R. Kelly. So I want to definitely bring this clip up so we can, reminisce a little bit on what actually happened. And this is his attorney, Stephen Greenberg. I think this is about 4 or 5 years ago.
Very complex.
These racketeering charges, this RICO law he's being charged on, you said it's a scary use of that law. Not appropriate?
No, it's not appropriate at all. So what RICO is RICO says that you've committed various state crimes, and they sort of federalize it. It was originally designed for the mob and for the gangs. What they've said here is that in New York City, he committed a series of crimes by having sexual encounters with adult women, consensual sexual encounters, and they could have caught a sexually transmitted disease. That's largely what those charges are predicated on. I think what I said last week, if R. Kelly is a RICO enterprise, then so are the Rolling Stones and Motley Crue and a host of other bands, the whole...
Exactly. Like, if you take R. Kelly out and just add P. Diddy, it almost sounds identical. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody that's a band that travels across state lines that has relationships with women, if that could be considered sex trafficking, then any man that take his wife on vacation or girlfriend on vacation, that could be considered sex trafficking. Because when we get where we going, I have intentions on having sex. So what in the world is these laws coming to? You know, when celebrities living a celebrity rock star lifestyle, which majority do, especially, I mean, I think P. Diddy and R. Kelly, they are, a little, from my opinion, they're a little old to be doing all that. But I mean, it's not against the law to have multiple women and go across that. Well, I guess it's against the law now. So, and that's scary, bro. That's scary.
Rock and roll industry.
Steve, so you have these charges coming from all angles now. You have a couple other associates of R. Kelly who have been charged as well. Do you worry that people in his inner circle might flip and turn on him?
I think there's people in his inner circle who have told stories to save themselves, probably gotten immunity, said things. I don't have their statements yet. Largely, I believe what they've said is not true. I don't know what the other defendants in the case are going to do. That's up to them.
All right, Steve Greenberg, R. Kelly's attorney, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, so we can stop that right there. I mean, that clip is, like I said, it kind of just mirrors what's going on with Diddy. You know what I'm saying? As far as that aspect of it. And the two people that were charged with R. Kelly were in Chicago with the obstruction charges. It didn't have nothing to do with the racketeering case in New York. So you charged with a criminal enterprise in one state, but no co-defendants. Only co-defendants in the obstruction charge, which those co-defendants were exonerated, and R. Kelly also beat those charges as well, those obstruction of justice charges. So it was just interesting how the whole RICO racketeering part is being, perpetuated in these sex trafficking charges. So these are my thoughts on the Diddy case, Diddy trial so far. Nothing really that I would say is worthy of sex trafficking or RICO or racketeering. Like Greenberg said, that was more reserved for the mob and mafia style type of people. So I'm just interested to see, man. It just seems like they're trying to taint the jury with all this salaciousness and showing that tape, but that don't have nothing to do with the charges. But hey, what say you? It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. Until next time, we'll speak to you soon. Peace and blessings.